I've brought my children up to believe that as long as you're doing something that's not hurting anyone, it should be okay. Whatever your idea of a relationship is, or whatever your idea of living your life is, as long as you're not hurting other people or hurting yourself for that matter, live your life and enjoy it.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 202. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have an awesome interview with Wendy and Anthony. First of all, it's another palindrome episode.
Stealing my thunder, yo.
Well, you didn't chime in and say anything, so I said it.
I wasn't interrupting. I'm trying my October resolution is to not interrupt you.
Wow. Okay. We'll see how this goes. So I'm just going to end up doing all the talking. Anyway, Wendy and Anthony have been together about 5 years. Wendy began exploring non-monogamy about the time they got together, and Anthony has been exploring non-monogamy for almost 20 years. We have an amazing conversation about their journey. They are also help organize and run the Paradise Club in Pennsylvania, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's super awesome. And I think one of the things that we love about it is they have such a huge focus on education and really helping new members and new people fit in. And that's super important because we've been the new people at a club or the new people in an environment, and it can be really intimidating. So we love that they're doing that. So if you want to find out more information about the Paradise Club and all of the work that they're doing, there are links in the show notes, or just go to paradiseclub.net and you can learn more about that. And if you tell them that Emma and Finn sent you, they'll hook you up with a little something extra to get you along your way.
Yes. Go check them out. They're awesome.
And just a huge thank you to both of them for coming on and sharing with us and doing the work that they do. So again, thank you, Wendy and Anthony. We appreciate it.
We do, very much so. Before we jump into their interview, we do have a normal announcements. First up, a huge, amazing, big hug. Thank you to all of our Patreon members. We are so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. And the community is growing. We're getting more and more Patreon members every week, and we're so excited about it. So if you're interested in looking for community, we highly encourage you. We're a little bit biased, but we highly encourage you to go check out our Patreon community. It's just so full of amazing people. Also, the calls for this month of October are on our website for Patreon. You can go find all of the information on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, and click on the Patreon button.
Yeah, and just a huge thank you again, as Emma said, to everyone from me. A couple more things about community. We are doing some in-person meet and greets again, finally, because of COVID is finally, well, it's not going away. But we're able to do some outdoor, slightly socially distanced, vaccine-required meet and greets. Anyway, we did one last week in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It was amazing. We had about 35 people, and we were outside at a pavilion and basically a giant picnic. Everyone brought drinks and snacks, and it was just really great. So thank you to everyone who was there. We had an amazing time, and we're so excited to be able to do stuff like this again. We have a couple of more coming up this fall. We have one in Atlanta, Georgia, next week on October 13th.
From 7 to 9 p.m.
Yeah, now you're interrupting me.
I was going to.
Perfect.
And the next one is in St. Petersburg, Florida on October 27th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Also on a Wednesday.
Yeah, all of the information. Yeah, look at me cut you off.
I know.
All of the information.
We're doing great at this.
All of the information on how to sign up and to learn more about where they're going to be is on our website, again, at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the community events tab and you will see in-person events. And all of the information to sign up will be there.
And also, don't forget, we still have our virtual meet and greets going on. Our next one is October 26th from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. And we'd love to have you come join those events as well. And we will have more virtual meet and greets in November.
Yeah, and those have been super exciting. And we're glad they're back after taking a little summer siesta.
Yep.
A couple last final things. We wanted to cross promote some events going on in Atlanta while we're there. We are not necessarily attending, but we're super excited for it. The event is called Frolicon. It is sort of their tagline is nerdy meets naughty, and it's sort of a mix of sex positivity and gaming and all sorts of things. All of the information about it can be found at frolicon.com, or links are in the show notes on our website. Anyway, the event is from October 14th to the 17th, which is next weekend, if you're listening to this the week it was released. And in conjunction with that, Atlanta Polyamory, which is a polyamory group based out of Atlanta, go figure, which you can find at atlantapolyamory.org or our show notes. They're having a meet and greet a couple days after our Atlanta meet and greet.
One day to be specific.
One day to be specific. Theirs is on October 14th. So if you're going to be at Frolicon and you have signed up, you are encouraged and highly welcome to attend their meet and greet. We plan to have the organizer of Atlanta Polyamory, the president and the organizer of this event, on the show in a couple of weeks. So we're super excited about that. And we just wanted to throw that out there to help send some people their way. So, yeah.
And with that,
I think that's all of the exciting news. Please reach out to us if you want to let us know how we're doing, tell us how you're doing, or come on the show. You can find out how to do that at our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the Contact Us tab.
You can also find podcast show notes there, and like Finn said earlier, all of the event information as well. And with that, let's go talk to Wendy and Anthony. Well, welcome, Wendy and Anthony, to the show. We're excited to have you here, and we're excited to hear your story. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd like to start, I guess, with having each of you introduce yourselves, because we know a little bit, but not very much. So for the listeners, can each of you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony, do you want to go ahead?
No, you go.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm Wendy, and I started in the lifestyle probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I got into it because I wanted to try to save my marriage, which is something I tell everybody not to do. I told my ex that I was interested in women, and we looked around for different places to go, and we found a club in northeastern Pennsylvania, which I currently now run with Anthony and 19 other people, called the Paradise Club. And we came here. I met some great people. It was a really great place. It was comfortable. And my ex and I started trying to work our way through the lifestyle, and then things just weren't working the way we wanted to. So I, in the process of everything, met Anthony and met his wife and some other people that ran the club, and we got closer, and now Anthony and I are a couple. He's my boyfriend. And again, like I said, he's married, and she also has a boyfriend. And all of us, 21 of us now, run the Paradise Club. So that's kind of where we are now. And I don't know. Go ahead, Anthony. You want to tell a little bit about your story?
So I'm Anthony. I got into the lifestyle in 2002 with my wife. We were not very good swingers, but we did come into the lifestyle, I guess, to be swingers. We went to a couple swing conventions. We had a home club, which was not the Paradise Club at the time. It's now closed. We had our third child. It was a little much to handle. So we got out of the lifestyle for about 5 years. When we got back into the lifestyle, we went to a couple clubs in another state, and they were a little fast for us. We ended up finding the Paradise Club. The first night that we came to the Paradise Club, we met a couple. One half of that couple happens to be my wife's boyfriend still 8 years later. The other half of that couple was my girlfriend for about 3 years. until everything unraveled. They are now divorced, and so then we operated as a triad for about a year. Wendy picked me up over a piece of pool chalk. That was her opening line, and it kind of went from there.
I really needed pool chalk, though.
So back in 2013, very quickly we became a quad. It worked pretty well in the beginning. There's a lot of different facets to it because December 31st, 2013, my wife and I worked our first party here. And then January 2014, the other couple became part of the first four of what we call the Nuts. That's who runs the club. And then things were good until about 2016. Then it kind of all unraveled from there. So I was essentially going to get out. I was going to essentially run a lifestyle club while not being in the lifestyle. And then Miss Pool Chalk, fangirl, came along and changed my mind.
Fair enough. And so you had said, though, just to kind of step back a little bit, you were in a triad. You kind of
I was in a quad.
Yeah.
It was two married couples.
Yep.
And she left. She broke up with me. Essentially, she wanted me to get divorced, leave the lifestyle, and run off with her, and be monogamous, and do everything that she wanted me to do.
Right.
I politely declined. She broke up with me. She divorced her husband. We essentially, her husband, my wife, and I became a triad. We operated as a triad for about roughly a year before Wendy came along with her pool chalk. And I wouldn't call us a quad. I wouldn't call us a quad, but I wouldn't not call us a quad. My wife's boyfriend and Wendy don't have anything to do with each other sexually. It's pretty much two closed off. It's what do you call it? Three relationships.
Three relationships. Yep,
is pretty much what it is. They get along.
Yeah.
But everybody's friends. But there's no. My wife is not bisexual. So there is no girl play. Her boyfriend and I are not bisexual, so there is no boy play. And the boyfriend and girlfriend don't play.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for spelling that all out.
Yeah, very much appreciated. And I think what I would love to do is maybe go back a little bit into Wendy, your story as well. Like you said, you kind of got into this. You told your husband that you were interested in women. And that was sort of the beginning of the end, it sounds like.
Well, there was problems in the marriage before that. So I was trying to, I guess, grasp at straws to find something that might help, maybe something a little more, quote unquote, exciting, I guess. So I thought, let's try this. And it just went in the opposite direction. We run a class here at the club, and that's one thing I tell everybody is don't get into this to try to save your marriage. So I currently still live with my ex-husband. We have 2 teenage children together, and we're trying to coexist so that we can. And my children know that we're not together. They know about Anthony. They know about his wife. They know the whole story. I've brought my children up to believe that as long as you're doing something that's not hurting anyone, it should be okay. Whatever your idea of a relationship is, or whatever your idea of living your life is, as long as you're not hurting other people or hurting yourself for that matter, live your life and enjoy it. So there's all different types of families, all different types of relationships. And I want to make the lifestyle and all different types of relationships be what's the norm, and that's why I love what you guys do, because you talk about all different types of things on normalizing non-monogamy. So
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. And I think too, thank you for clarifying that the non-monogamy wasn't the reason that you wound up separating. There was other issues, but that they maybe the two kind of coincided chronologically. That was.
Well, it's easy to point the finger
Yeah.
at this is what caused it, but that's not what happened.
Yeah, no, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Did you two give it a go?
The lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, we did. We tried. It just wasn't. I don't think it was his thing. So and then in turn, I guess, meeting certain people and me being able to be who I really am made it a done deal, so to speak. So,
Meaning that you kind of started to find yourself, and that you found that who you were and who he was were just not
correct. Yeah.
compatible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to like pick it all apart. I'm just trying to understand it a little bit. So thank you.
I also want to clarify one thing. Just in terms of the word lifestyle, what does that mean to the both of you? Because that's a term that can mean different things to different people. For some, it's more the swinging lifestyle or the non-monogamous lifestyle. And I'm just curious for each of you what that kind of means.
For me, it's kind of both, I think. More so because we run a club, which was touted as a swinger club for years. And I don't really necessarily like that term, because we want to welcome everyone. So we want to encompass it into the lifestyle. So at least that's my opinion.
I would say it's also my opinion. Whether you're really, because now most of my lifestyle experience has been somewhat polyamorous, and we talk about this often, that labeling us is difficult to do. So in turn, we don't really try to label anybody, whether you're full swap, soft swap, voyeurs, exhibitionists, polyamorous, polyamorous swinging, bisexual, whatever you may be. We kind of try to be the umbrella club to allow people to just be people. You're allowed to come here and be who you are. We have certain rules. We don't allow single males, but other than that, we have plenty of couples that come here that are essentially vanilla, that just like the atmosphere, that just like what we do, they're welcomed the same way that the full swap hardcore swingers are. And within the nuts, we have a quad, a polyamorous triad, and a throuple. They want to be different. We're a quad, they're a throuple. So we have our swinging couples. We actually pretty much have a vanilla couple that is a nut, and then we pretty much have everything in the nuts. So we're looking to cover everybody that walks through the door also.
And let me clarify the nuts for you. I'm sorry. That's, of course, the people that work here, but we call ourselves the nuts because they say we're crazy for doing this. We're all volunteers. We don't get paid to work here. So,
yeah.
So we're nuts.
Well, yeah, you're nuts. Well, I think, like we said, we'll love to circle back and get into more, because I know you're all doing some really great education work behind that, and we're excited to promote that for sure. I think I was curious about something you said, Anthony, at the beginning, that you were really bad swingers. What does that mean to you? Where did that come from?
Look, I can be short with this. What that means is my wife was looking for John Bon Jovi, and nothing less. And at the time, I was younger, We were still in our 20s. A heartbeat was good enough. We didn't swing very well. A common conversation at a club would be, well, what do you think about them? Oh, he's too short. Well, what about them? He's too tall. Well, what about them? He doesn't have enough hair. Well, what about them? He has too much hair. These would be the conversations. And we really weren't, we were active in that. We went to a lot of conventions. We went to a lot of, not a lot of clubs, but we went to a club a lot, weekly. We just weren't actively swapping, switching. We found a couple that we soft swap with regularly. We probably did that for a couple years. We did full swap a couple times, and then we walked in here in 2013, and my wife will kill me for this, but she connected with the other female half, and they became really instant best friends. And within 7 months, we were on vacation together, which I thought was crazy. I didn't even know their last names. I knew nothing about them, but they had planned it, and we went on vacation. And depending on whose story you hear, and you get to hear mine, there was no thought of having girlfriend and boyfriend and being polyamorous. And then I woke up one morning and I had a wife and a girlfriend, and we were pretty much a closed quad. And continued to be that until September of 2016. So for almost 3 years, we fell into it. It was not a planned thing. We really didn't have any conversations about it. We actually, I'm sure you guys saw this show, Polyamory, Married and Dating on Showtime,
Mm-hmm.
right? Great show. I wish they were in 10 seasons of it, but we watched the show and laughed at it, and all four of us laughed at it and said we would never do that. That's crazy. What are these people thinking? And about 2 months later, we were living that life, which was a good thing. I'm on round 2 of it, so you just have to have the right ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always my opinion.
Yeah, well, and I think that is the crux of it, is that like you can go into this saying, well, we're just going to be swingers, and you joke that you woke up one day and you had a wife and a girlfriend. It probably happened over some amount of time, right? And that you just didn't even feel it happening, and then it existed. And so it is a new level of emotion, a new level of intimacy, a new level of everything beyond swinging. Like it's just more difficult.
At this point in my life, I think it's easier.
Yeah,
and I think it's easier because I'm used to it. I've been through one relationship. The second relationship, right from the start, was always much easier. They're very much opposites, which I'm sure has something to do with it. But the experience of knowing what to do, and more importantly, what not to do, and how to set things up, I guess. Wendy and I started very closed. There were lots of guidelines. There was lots of things.
I was confused for the first year. I was very confused. I didn't know what I was, honestly.
I was gun shy. And I refused to call her my girlfriend. So she was my secretary. Because my first relationship ended ugly. And I was never going to go back to that. And worse off, my best friend, who happened to be my wife's boyfriend, was getting a divorce, and I blamed myself for it. So I felt like I had no business getting back into a relationship. I didn't get into this to end anybody's marriage. And next thing I know, I was in a second relationship, and there was another marriage ending.
But that for sure wasn't you.
I always felt like I had my hand in that too. So, but it has taken years to figure out. Both relationships were probably doomed way before the lifestyle came in. So
yeah, but it's still hard to feel like I can see how you feel that way, or it's hard to tell. Like you have to rewrite that story actively.
Yeah, I mean, especially right if she was kind of alluding to that she wanted to essentially run away with you, and like you said, like you just kind of unveiled that your wife's boyfriend and your girlfriend's husband at the time was your best friend. So like you're not just out there like feeling like you're ruining any marriage. It's the marriage of your best friend and your girlfriend, and that's even harder. And then you come into a new one and you see something similar happening. So I can understand the being gun shy.
In the first relationship, I was very much in the middle. In Wendy's, I was not in the middle, but in the first one, I was very much in the middle. My girlfriend and my best friend were getting a divorce, and I was still trying to stay in the picture. I was not looking to get a divorce. My wife and I agreed that we would not do that over this, no matter what. And I tend to want to stick to my word, but I was trying to keep her around. I did not want to end the relationship, and I kept trying and trying and trying, which just kept me being in the middle. The real breaking point was, I had deadlines. January 1st, 2017 was the deadline. I pushed that to January 9th. Finally, I think it was January 27th. It kind of blew up, and then we revisited like 2 or 3 times after that. And what magic there was, it was gone by then. Plus it was kind of hard because the boyfriend was my best friend. He is. And he could not come to me over him getting a divorce of my girlfriend, and I could not go to him for the breakup with my girlfriend, and it created tension between both of us, which took a long time to get through, and we probably still have scars over it. We're just not the emotional talkers, so we kind of pack it in a little box and throw it in the deepest part of the ocean and move on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super hard. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing all of that. Do you have more questions for Anthony before we move on to the two of them?
So many, but it's okay.
Yes, but like, I know we could spend all night. I was going to move on to the two of them.
Go for it.
So then you two met over pool chalk, right? That's what you said. That was about 5 years ago then? Am I doing the math correctly?
That
4
was,
years ago?
28.
That was
17?
That was 2017. That was about March of 2017. Was the pool chalk routine? It's actually it actually goes back to October 2016.
Yeah.
It was my wife's boyfriend's 40th birthday. We had a Nightmare Before Christmas themed Halloween party here, which is his favorite thing in the entire world. He is a little bit of a child.
So are you.
So am I. We were going to give away something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Gave away a free membership for a year.
Free membership for a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to go to the person that had the best
Nightmare Before Christmas costume.
And Wendy was the choice. I left it up to him until it got time to choose. And then I liked her. I didn't know who she was. I didn't even know her name. He agreed. We gave it to her. And then from that point on, she fell off the face of the earth, didn't come back to the club. We didn't see her till March of 2017.
Yeah.
And she came back, and this is actually kind of funny. Her and her husband, can I tell this story?
Go ahead, I don't care.
Her and her husband came to me in just about the worst time and asked me about being polyamorous because they were interested in it. And at the time, I was not the best spokesman for it and said, you people are crazy. Don't ever do this. It's the worst thing in the entire world because, well, I was knee deep in horror at the time. And then, I don't know, maybe a couple parties later, she asked,
like May.
She asked for pool chalk, and we had the Nuts had a group message, and I just went into a panic. We have to get her pool chalk. It has to come today. And I think I still have a stock of pool chalk because everybody bought pool chalk.
Yeah.
And I just handed her the pool chalk, and that started the chase.
Yeah, it was back and forth for a long time before we were ever together. And I was interested in at the time was swinging. Like there was no relationship thought in my head. And so it back and forth the whole summer before we finally were together in some capacity.
It was July.
It was okay. We still haven't figured out our exact date.
It was July 13th.
Okay.
So it was July. It wasn't all summer. It was July.
I guess it felt like all summer. So, and then September, he asked me if I wanted to go. What did you call it? Just a date night?
Yes.
Yeah. So he asked me if I wanted to go on a date night. So I have no idea what to expect. What's a date night with somebody that I'm swinging with, you know? So I came up to the club. We met up here, and we had sex. And he's like, "So, would you want to go to dinner? Or are you just going to go home?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll go to dinner." I don't know. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. I was like, "What's a date night? What are we doing?" Like,
she didn't ask any questions either. That's the part she's not saying. And we were having logistical issues because, well, she had a husband, and I don't know if he wasn't completely giving his blessing. I don't think he was completely against it. Look, I think for the most part, he had no idea what he was in the middle of. And she didn't either. And honestly, I didn't either. I was used to dating my wife's boyfriend's wife. It's very clean. It's very easy. Going out of that comfort zone was very difficult, especially in the beginning, to the point where my wife's asking me, "You're going on a date with Wendy. What are you guys going to do?" And I said, I don't really know.
Well, did you sit me down? Was that the night you sat me down? Oh, tell them this is what he has got to tell you what he did to me the first night before we did absolutely anything.
You're going to give me, look, half of your audience will hate me for this. The other half will appreciate me. As soon as we walked in the door, I sat her down and said, "This isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this either.
No, I love yous. No roses. No flower. Like no nothing. Like
no cards.
Okay.
No cards. You won't get any cards on Valentine's Day. You won't get any flowers. I'm not doing this." Was all the things that made my first experience difficult. I was not going to do again. One of my big things was don't come to me pushing me to get in an argument that I can't buy into, because that happened a lot in my first relationship. Was the girlfriend wanted X and the wife was against it. I would then have an argument with the wife, and I didn't really buy into what the girlfriend wanted. So I think it was about an hour. It was about an hour of me standing over her saying, I'm not doing any of this, all of those things that I now do.
Hence the reason I was confused. Okay. He always says, I'm surprised you didn't run out of the door screaming.
And that's what I wanted her to either completely understand where I was or politely decline and say, I don't belong here. And I would have been okay with that. I didn't want her not to know where I was, because at the time, it was very much about me. It was very hard on my wife to be in a triad, and to please her boyfriend, who pretty much wanted a closed relationship, and please her husband, who I wanted to be in a swinging triad, because I was dealing with the fact that my girlfriend was gone and her boyfriend wasn't. We agreed prior to that the boyfriend and the girlfriends would be non-negotiable. They would leave when they left. No one would be able to pull the I want out of this card, or I broke up with mine, you have to break up with yours. I never thought that was fair. Maybe swinging, not being polyamorous. People have feelings. I didn't want that to happen. And, I've been honest to everybody. When I made that statement, I was 200% sure that my girlfriend was never going anywhere. And then she was the one that went. So I felt like I had to man up. So I did, but it was a rough year. It was rough for her to be the tiebreaker for everything, especially when your husband wants to swing and your boyfriend does not want to swing. So I was very much trying to protect myself, and I didn't want to hurt her because she was an innocent victim in it. So I had all these rules and put up all these walls, and
they're gone now.
Yeah,
but I think in the long run, it worked out for the best, because I was able to get to know him more, and things were slower paced. Because I think I'm that person that just wants to jump in head first and just go for it. And so I think it took me back a few steps, which was good. And it got me to know him more. And just like he had just said something about the fact that, he keeps to his word, and he honestly does. He has loyalty tattooed on his chest, and he's one of the most loyal people that I know. So yeah, when he says something, he means it. And that's something that, that makes me want to be with him so much, and makes me care about him so much. And it's just, I don't know. So it was a crazy thing that with the way things happened. However, it was a good thing the way things happened, because it took me back a step.
Mm-hmm. Well, right. And it sounds like, my personal opinion, Anthony, is could the delivery have been better? Maybe. I don't know. We weren't really there. We don't know exactly how the conversation
We weren't really there. We weren't there.
We weren't. I'm just saying.
I'm just giving
we weren't there.
The delivery could have been a lot.
Oh, yeah. I should have run out the door, honestly, with how it was done. But
the delivery was terrible.
But at the end of the day, you were laying down your boundaries of what you were comfortable doing, and you weren't trying to sugarcoat it or pull one over on Wendy. And it sounds like you didn't know what the hell you wanted. You're like, I don't know. Are we dating? Am I looking for a girlfriend? Am I swinging? And she's like, I don't know. Am I his girlfriend? Are we dating? Are we swinging? Nobody knew, but at least you were trying to have the conversation about where you were at and what you didn't want. And I would just say I commend you for that, because having that conversation is hard, even if you don't stick the landing. So, yeah.
I definitely didn't stick the landing.
Well, you're both here.
Yeah.
5 years later, or 4 years later.
It's definitely gotten better over the past 4 years, and the communication is really good between us. So I think that's what matters. That's one of the biggest things that I talk about all the time is you need to communicate with your partner.
For sure. And I think one of the questions I was going to ask is, were you at Paradise getting your chalk as a solo female? But it sounds like at that point you were still married and your husband and you were still exploring this. And even when you first started loosely dating Anthony, you guys were still married and trying to make it work.
Yeah. We were still together and I was actually getting the pull chalk for him. So
Fair enough. So how did the
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
I know it does sound terrible, but like, I don't know. Like, I just asked him for bull chalk and I smiled. I don't know.
Hey, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, right?
Obviously. So how did the two of you then develop, right? So you had this hard hour-long conversation, apparently still had sex, so I guess it's foreplay. And then you maybe went to dinner.
I mean, we went to dinner and we have how we kind of structure it, being that he's married and she has a boyfriend. There's a lot of moving parts. So we've grown over time to structure it where there's one date night a week. So that's where we can do whatever we want for the most part. Spend, it can be anywhere from a few hours. It's usually it's a few hours and like 3 to 6 hours, usually something like that. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the other night we have the option to have dinner with each other. So we'll meet somewhere halfway in between because we live about an hour and 15 minutes from one another. So we'll meet halfway, go have some sushi or so, have a nice dinner. And then once a month, we have what we call an overnight date night. So one Saturday a month, which we schedule in between everything else. We have 2 parties a month that we run. So the overnight date night, he comes to my house, his wife goes to her boyfriend's house, and we spend the night. So, and we can do whatever we want those nights as well. So it's scheduled, a lot of it. But we have to because there's 4 of us and basically 3 different relationships. So
right,
yeah.
And there's families involved too that you have to consider throughout the whole thing.
He has 3 children. I have 2, and so it can be challenging sometimes. I mean, most his kids he's only got one that's still in school, like high school level, middle school level. And then both of them, I have one in high school and one that's just going to start college. So.
Yeah. So they're getting older. They can starting to mostly be able to take care of themselves in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
Which helps. Yeah. But I think, it sounds like you figured out a way that really works like for the 4 of you in whatever, even if it's scheduled and it can be hectic and everything, but sometimes the schedule is what saves you, right? If you didn't have that schedule, it'd be all like, it wouldn't be everyone, all the communication would be, I imagine it'd be much more difficult.
Yes. I'm a big believer in schedules. And I mean, I don't always have to be perfect, but when I'm off my schedule, I'm not a fan, not one of my favorite things. Right, Aunt?
Not one of our favorite things, no.
That sounds like an understatement. We won't necessarily pick that one apart.
Well, I'm curious how, for both of you, and this maybe, I don't know, I'm not even going to caveat it. How out are you in your communities and in your families and everything? You said your children know, but like, how has that gone?
With me, I am like, I think I said it to you before the interview started. I am open to anybody that asks me. So if a girlfriend of mine, or if there's somebody I'm close with, I'm going to tell them because I want to tell them before they find out from somebody else. So, and my children know about my relationship with Anthony and that he has a wife and she has a boyfriend. They've spent we've spent Christmas with Anthony and his family. So like my kids are involved with that aspect of things. I'm not at the point where I'm telling them about the club yet. They've actually been here, but not when it was a club. Like, we can take things down and make it look like a vanilla place. So they've been here during COVID. There's a pool, so we brought them to swim, stuff like that. So I'm getting to the point, though, where they're old enough and I want to tell them, because there's nothing wrong with this. Like, it's fun for some people, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's not a bad thing. I don't think it should be hidden. I want it to be more of the norm. So for me, if somebody's going to ask, I'm definitely going to tell them. I'm not hiding it from anybody, and I don't want to. And if somebody doesn't like me for what I do, then they're not truly a friend of mine, or they're not truly somebody that should be in my life. So that's kind of how I look at it. Anthony?
Well, me? My ex-girlfriend called my mom.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm 46 years old. She called my mom. And she outed me to my mom. And she called other people, and so I'm pretty much outed to most of my family, who that's more than 4 years ago, and out of all of the family members that know, which is probably 10 to 15, one came to me and asked the questions, and I told them everything. Everybody else pretty much seems to leave it alone. It hasn't affected many relationships. It has affected one. I had a male cousin that I was very close to that I haven't spoken to in more than 4 years. I couldn't tell you exactly why, but both my parents know. Both my parents know about Wendy and about my wife's boyfriend. My father's never really said anything to me. My mother, the older she gets, the more questions she asks. Almost the more understanding she gets of it. Both my older children, I have a child in her mid-20s and one in her early 20s, both know everything. Club, boyfriend, girlfriend, past relationship, history, they know everything. They're a little young, they're not looking to jump into this in their 20s, but they're very much understanding of it, and very good with it. Friends, I don't have a lot of friends out of the lifestyle these days, just because I believe there's more honesty and realness within the lifestyle for me. But my non-lifestyle friends, I don't think anybody, if anybody knows, they don't come to talk to me about it as of yet. But I've had one instance. It was another male cousin of mine. He called me up and said, "We have to talk about this." And I said, "Sure, I'll pick you up on Wednesday. I'll explain everything to you." It took about 5 hours. And I told him everything. And as it turned out, he knew very little. And I told him a whole lot. And when I was all done 5 hours later, he said to me, "Well, this is what I did know." And it was that I went to a lifestyle club. That's all he knew. And here I gave him everything. I mean, I gave him all kinds of things, and I didn't have to give him any of that, which I was good with giving him.
He was cool about it.
Same thing with my wife. She's outed to pretty much her whole family. Her mother knows and is very understanding of it. Her mother has met both Wendy and her boyfriend. So we're at a pretty good place.
Yeah, we're getting there. I think
we're at a pretty good place for me. Those that ask get told. Those that don't, I don't flaunt it, but I also don't hide it.
Yeah, same.
So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. It helps give context, I think. And I'm sorry that you went through the outing. That's horrible. But it sounds like at least most of the relationships have gone okay with everything.
I appreciate her for outing me to my mother. It makes for a great story. Who gets outed to their mom by their ex-girlfriend? It's great.
Yeah.
I love her to death for it. I hope things are great.
Good. I'm glad you have that outlook on it. Yeah, for sure.
I'm outed to my mom.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm curious.
I bet you are.
Again,
About
so many
everything.
things. So, for each of you, where do you kind of feel like your sweet spot is in terms of, like, Anthony, you have a wife and a girlfriend, and I don't know, Wendy, do you have any other partners that you would consider like boyfriends or girlfriends that are like relationships, or beyond what you have? Is it mostly casual? Like, how do you two kind of approach life beyond these relationships? And not to discount any other relationships that are out there, just kind of curious what that looks like for you.
What their like sweet spot
in terms of like, are you like, well, I think I could sustain 2 more long-term, like, serious relationships on top of my wife and on top of Wendy? Like, hypothetically.
I'm full.
You're full.
Nope.
That's what I was trying to.
I'm good.
No, I hate using labels. Like, I'm so not a label. And this happened in the last time I talked to somebody about this. But the best way to describe it is I am monogamous with him. Like, as far as a relationship is concerned, like, I don't want another relationship. He's my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We do run a club. I like women. And I
Me too.
Yeah, he does too. So, I consider us, swingers. But we're not prolific. Like, there's a couple that, once in a while, if they come here and we're up for it, we'll, play with them. But for the most part, it's him and I. And if there's something, like I said, if there's something that comes along, we'll talk about it. But, right now that's kind of where we are as far as swinging, and my relationship is monogamous with him as far as relationships go. So.
Yeah. Well, sorry for the really long, wordy question. You did a much better job of answering it than I did of asking it. So thank you. And that's exactly kind of what I was getting at, is like what you two kind of saw it looking like moving forward, or what it looks like. And it sounds like it's sort of a casual swinging when it makes sense kind of dynamic outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I guess, do you see things, I mean, no one can predict the future. I know this is an impossible question, but do you see things, how they might change for either of you?
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, I think we're kind of living day to day. We do so much with what we do for the club. And then we have kids and other things going on in our lives. So I look for the future, and I look at him in my future. I just don't know what that looks like, Yep. I don't know. What do you say?
Wow, am I going to get like a breakup text later?
No, I'm not breaking. I'm not saying I want to break. I just don't know what like future looks like what we look like. I should say what we look like in the future. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know what that looks like. So whether, I don't know. It's a hard question because
it is a hard question.
Yeah.
And it might just be the same, like similar.
It might be continued to be what we are doing right now.
We have very much continuously evolved in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
In the 4 years that we've been together, I think my wife and our boyfriend have also evolved at the same time. So I think that's really, the important thing to do is not to get stuck in neutral. I don't necessarily think you have to go forward or backwards as long as you evolve and you change. And we change by need. So when things need to change, uh, it seems to be like everyone's open for a change that is needed. We had a big change a couple years ago because my wife's boyfriend needed things to change. He needed more time. I was very okay with that. Part of the reason why I was okay with that, with whatever change he gets, she gets the same thing. So we added certain things to that. The certain things are minimal. Certain things are larger. For instance, one of the big things is the boyfriend and girlfriend get overnight date nights on their birthday.
Oh yeah, that one.
That was a thing to him. That was an important thing to him. So yeah, we put it in there and we said, okay, for each of your birthdays, that's available. We added dinner date nights as an additional night. At one point, we were going once a week. We added dinner date nights, the availability of dinner date nights. So we evolved. Yeah. Most party nights here, there's 2 parties a month. Really, that's become a boyfriend-girlfriend night exclusively. It in the prior relationship, it wasn't always exactly like that. And then holidays, we try to work out holidays as best we can. Both Wendy and my wife's boyfriend usually come to our house for Christmas Eve. Usually all 4 of us are here New Year's Eve for a party. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we did Thanksgiving. Yeah.
We try to do most holidays. So. And, birthdays are a little more difficult because there's a lot of kids involved, and even though the kids are older, they want what they want, and vacations sometimes can be tough. But we evolve. We try to do the best we can. It's not always
exactly what everybody wants.
It's not always exactly what everybody wants. But I don't know how you can do that with 4 people involved and then 7 kids involved. It's difficult. Everybody's got to say, well, I'm going to shoot for this, but if I can get some of what I want, that'll work out. And I think altogether the 4 of us are very good with that. I'm not always 100% happy. I know she's not. I know he's not. And I know my wife's not either a lot of times. And it's taken a lot of years and a lot of experience to understand that not everybody's going to be 100% happy 100% of the time. We try to do things together. August is concert month.
Yay, concerts are back. I'm so excited.
So the 4 of us are going to 3 different concerts. We try to do things like that. We try to get together. We have 19, 21, 19. We have a lot of nuts. We try to do things as a group here. We're friends with everybody that's a nut, so we try to get together. We're going to do that this coming weekend. So it also brings all of us together. So we don't try to be a pair all the time to where it's closed off in an open marriage and a closed relationship. We try to do a certain amount of things as a group, a certain amount of things as a quad. And it takes a lot of
it's always evolving and a lot of scheduling involved, but we seem to work it out, and it seems, it just seems to work eventually.
Yeah, it sounds like, everything's a conversation and a compromise. And that's like that.
Yeah.
As long as you all agree on that piece, then that sounds like it's working, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, we could talk about this for hours and hours. We wanted to give you the chance to talk about the Paradise Club and what you all are bringing to this. And first of all, I think it's amazing that like you're volunteering to do this. And I assume it's a lot of time, but obviously there has to be a lot of passion behind that. So we would love to hear about what you're doing and how you're doing it and what sort of the mission is behind it.
Awesome. It definitely is something that we're both passionate about. Like all of us that volunteer here and work here are passionate about. For some of us, it's more work than others. This is almost a second full-time job for a couple of us. And but it just means so much to us. We're so big about education and everybody having a good time. We always say we are paradise and we want to be a family here. It's more than just a place to come and hang out. Like everybody here is an extended part of our family. We make sure everybody's taken care of from the very first time they walk in the door. Everybody gets a tour. Everybody gets what's that?
Everybody gets a cell phone number.
Oh yes, everybody gets a cell phone number. I make a phone call to them before they come to the party, and they can call me or text me anytime they need any questions they have. I've known from I haven't been to too many clubs other than here, but I have been to a few, and Anthony's been to a few, and some of the clubs just throw you in and say, here, have a good time. And so many people are so nervous. Like I've talked to so many people that just, oh my gosh, I don't know what to expect. We're really afraid. And we just try to make everybody feel comfortable. Come hang out. It's just an adult, we call it our clubhouse, like, cause we just love hanging out with our friends, and we have dancing, and we have a 50,000 gallon indoor heated pool, and there's 2 hot tubs, an indoor hot tub and an outdoor hot tub, and we have a pool table and a massage table and playroom. So just come and do what you want to do. And again, with the new members, we do a new member workshop. So they get to come down to the pool table room, and I'm down there. Wait, what?
And we have a snow cone machine.
Oh, yes.
Important detail.
I'm so excited. I was talking about the new member workshop. That's my favorite part. Okay. So anyway, I get to tell them about things that you should do, things you shouldn't do. Do you have any questions? I tell them about podcasts like yours that educate people, and just a way to bring them into where they feel more comfortable. We give them a different color wristband and it's not to point them out and somebody said something like, are we fresh meat? No, like we want them to feel comfortable, and other people to say, oh, you're new, how are you? And greet them, and talk to them and find out what they're into or what they like to do. We have a fantastic entertainment director, and I can say his name. He doesn't care. Larry. He's fantastic. He just came on a few months ago. Him and his wife are our entertainment directors, and they do a fantastic job. He does something called We Are Paradise, and he brings up members, a new member, and one of the nuts, and he asks them, like, what are your hobbies? Ask them other silly questions, and so other people can get to know them. So if somebody, say, rides motorcycles and somebody in the crowd rides motorcycles, they can seek each other out. Oh, hey, you have the same thing in common with me. Larry plays games with everyone. There's always something going on, and it's not just about the swinging part of it. It's about coming, having a good time. And if you don't want to swing, you don't have to. A lot of people think that they're going to walk into a place like this and there's going to be a big pile. And that's just not what it is. So, Ant, do you have anything?
The only thing that I would like to add is we didn't come up with the new member workshop because we were geniuses. We came up with the new member workshop out of prior experience. when the original nuts all got together after we took over the club, we were trying to game plan how we were going to be different because we didn't want to be like everybody else. And one of the first things that came up was the fact that you just come to a club and you pay your money and then you're on your own. We wanted to be different. Some of us had good experiences. Some of us had bad experiences, which is where the new member workshop came from. We wanted our club to cater to new members, as well as to seasoned swingers, as well as to vanilla people. As crazy as that sounds, we do a huge buffet dinner.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that.
Every party. I have a wife that is a master chef, and she's an untrained master chef, but she's a master chef. So swing clubs, lifestyle clubs, and food usually don't go together. Here, they go together. We do a gluten-free dish. We do a plant-based dish. We change our menu every party. It's not the same thing. We theme our dinners as much as we can to the party themes. And we produce, I would argue, we produce restaurant quality food. So you can be vanilla. You can be 100% vanilla and come out here and have a very good dinner and dance and use the pool, hot tub, massage tables, billiards room, pool table, can get an education. Not only do we do a new member workshop, but in 2021, we started doing seminars at most of our parties. We've done, I think we've done 3 of them.
The Motor Bunny seminar.
We have a Motor Bunny here. So we did a seminar on the Motor Bunny. We did a seminar on your first trip to hedonism, what to expect, approximate cost, all questions that anybody that has ever gone to hedonism doesn't know. The fact that everyone overpacks for their first visit to hedonism. No one knows that you can pretty much get everything in the gift shop that you might need. And it's pretty...
pretty inexpensive.
It's pretty inexpensive to do so. So everybody packs all these things in bags, and how do you transfer from the airport to the resort? People get overcharged, and we went through that. And Wendy just did a seminar last week on social media in the lifestyle, Facebook, MeWe, also SLS, SDC, Cassidy, all the swing websites, and how to protect yourself, and how to not accidentally be outed, how to find groups, what groups are good, all of that. So, and we have future ones. Of course, we're going to do a polyamory in the lifestyle, because that's what we know. We're looking to do BDSM, ropes, knots.
Anything you can think of. We just want to do everything that we can to educate people. So that's really, what we're about, and making people feel comfortable. Like everything from the food to the games and the fun. Like I've had vanilla friends come. Some of my friends that I knew from my 20s that I've still been friends with came here a year or 2 ago, and they came and hung out. Like they didn't want to partake in anything that swingers do, but they just wanted to come and hang out. So they did. And I always tell everybody, come out, have a good time. You don't have to do anything. Just meet people and have a drink, have some dinner, and whatever. So you make it, you want to make it.
I think all clubs are underwhelming. If you're not including education in some kind, you're shortchanging your membership base. You're hanging them out to dry. You're setting them up for failure. and we have the platform, just as the podcasts do. You have the platform to educate people. Why are we all not trying to educate our members? It is a good business model, because if you educate your members, they tend to stick around. If you don't, they're going to make mistakes. And if their mistakes are bad enough, they're going to end up out of the lifestyle. That does not allow us to promote the lifestyle in general. It does not allow us to promote our clubs or podcasts or whatever it may be. So we have the right platform. We don't have one person that's an expert in everything, but we have enough people within each club, and we definitely have enough people within the lifestyle altogether, that we have experts here that can speak about a certain subject and educate people. And we're underwhelming, and we are as a whole. We have plenty of podcasts that are out there that are about fun and games, which is fine, but they have the platform to educate, and all you have to do is go on One Swing website and find out that there's clubs everywhere across this country, and there's very few people that are even bothering with education. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. We all know someone that came into this lifestyle, made missteps, and are no longer in the lifestyle. In my opinion, that's all of our fault. We didn't help them when we should have.
Yeah, for sure. And not that they wouldn't necessarily have still made missteps, but that they would have maybe been better prepared for them, or understood that is a thing that happens. And there's just so many ways to avoid that. And I think a huge thank you from us to you for doing all of that education work. And
it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think we just appreciate that. And it sounds like it's an amazing experience, and you guys really take care of your members. And I think not just your members, but you use your members then as ambassadors to the community as a whole, because you're teaching people, and they're going out and interacting with people who maybe aren't at the club. So we appreciate that.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and for coming on,
for sharing your story, and for talking about the club too, and for all the work that you're doing. And we hope that getting this out there, people will come visit the Paradise Club as well.
Yeah, and we will make sure to put links to everything. But one more time, just so anybody listening knows, like, roughly where is the club, and we'll make sure to get links on the website in the show notes so everyone can find it.
Yep, we are in northeastern Pennsylvania in the Poconos, and our website is www.theparadiseclub.net. So
Perfect.
Again,
links will be in the show notes. Thank you both for being here, for sharing your stories. I know we kind of abruptly cut off your stories and shifted to the club. I think we could definitely have you back and dive more into the stories at some point. I think I would love that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. I was so excited to be able to be on your podcast, and I love what you guys are doing. So we love, hearing your podcast and everything that you guys are doing to educate people in the world of non-monogamy. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And you have an open invitation to come here anytime you want.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We will take you up on it.
We will indeed. So have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you both soon.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
And we're back. A huge thank you to Wendy and Anthony for reaching out to us and coming on the show, and for all of the amazing work that you're doing at the Paradise Club in Pennsylvania. We can't wait to come visit, and we hope we send a lot of people your way. As a quick reminder, if you tell them that Finn and Emma sent you, they will hook you up with some cool perks. So go check out their club. Links are in the show notes.
Yeah, just I want to echo the gratitude from Emma as well. Thank you, Wendy and Anthony. And thank you again to everyone who's part of our Patreon community. Again, all of the call dates for the October calls and then the upcoming November calls are listed on our website. at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Just click on the Patreon tab.
And don't forget, come check out our meet and greets either in person in Atlanta, in St. Petersburg, Florida in October, or our virtual meet and greets as well. We'd love to meet all of you. So go check them out. Again, links and everything, all of the information is on our website.
And one last final thing we wanted to throw out there. If you are getting back out in the world and meeting people, we highly encourage and would just love you to be awesome sexual health advocates. And the way that we do that is we get tested using a website called stdcheck.com. It is amazing. It is low cost. It is super simple and no fuss.
Right.
No fuss.
It's easy.
So if you want to learn more about that, head over to our website and click on the resources tab, or in the show notes. You can save $10, which brings the cost of a 10-panel test down to about $130, and you get your results in a day or two, and it is sweet.
Yeah.
So it also helps support the show, which we love and we appreciate. So thank you in advance for being awesome sexual health advocates and supporting us.
Go check it out. And next week, we have an interview with Rosie. You're going to want to come back for this one. It's amazing. I mean, all of our interviews are amazing.
Yeah, you don't want to ever skip one.
No, just don't skip one.
You never know what's going to happen if you skip one.
Right. So we'll see y'all next week. Have a wonderful week, and bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.